The semantic technology turns out to be actually not that big of a differentiator because you have to get a whole ton of other things right first. That is, you have to be able to get all the non-semantic queries first, right? You have to be able to import things, crawl things, store things, right? All this kind of stuff. And it turns out that that's just really, really hard. Nevertheless, there were some companies, and there still are some companies that try and do this, so I chose two of them to kind of illustrate this. The first is PowerSet. I guess their major splash was last year, and then they got acquired and kind of went underneath the waves. But this was basically natural language consumer search. This is the semantically boosted search idea, right? And what they did, and actually the technology is great, right? What they did was they used the Xerox PARC XLE system to actually try and read Wikipedia. Now XLE, for those who aren't natural language processing weenies, is one of the coolest and best natural language systems that's out there under development for like 20 continuous years out there at PARC. And, very, very prestigious place. A lot of incredibly legitimate people who are doing this kind of stuff. And they can answer, and so what they did is they read Wikipedia. Wikipedia is always the starting point for things like this. And they read Wikipedia, and they can answer things like, what did Microsoft acquire in 06? Just by reading and getting the answer. And, if you talk to them, right, it turns out that their semantic knowledge was actually coded in a superset of WebKR. If you really want to understand language, you have to go way beyond what is expressible in OWL, but they started off with things that were actually expressible in WebKR. And if you go look at their website now, they have these things called FACTZ, F-A-C-T-Z, which includes lots of things that look like triples. Okay, so that's one thing. Another way to think about improving search, though, is through this really, really, I think, amazing thing that happened that Peter Mika started over at Yahoo, called SearchMonkey. So SearchMonkey is a pun, right? If y'all know about, there's this old library called GreaseMonkey, which only a lot of techies used to use, but it was very cool because it would sit in your browser, and as web pages came in, it would re-render them for you. So first thing you did was you wiped out all the ads. But secondly, you could change things around and make it a lot more interesting. And of course, and it just took as input the raw stream of XHTML that was coming in from the web. So SearchMonkey is that same idea for search, right? It's basically, let's reformat the results of search. So Yahoo's standard crawler, this is out there right now, right? Yahoo's standard crawler will go out there and find things like RDFA and microformats and delicious, all this kind of quasi-semantic and semantic data. And then it essentially displays, if it finds that data, it changes the way that the search is displayed. It doesn't actually change the ranking, or at least they have not publicly said that it does. But what it does is it makes semantically enhanced search a lot more useful. So there's a little diagram I'm thinking down below. You recognize if you had a sort of the regular old Google or Yahoo presentation of search results, this list of 10 snippets with a couple of hopefully informative sentences out of the page. That's one thing. This is actually a whole ton better. Because if you put the semantic data into your page, then SearchMonkey might actually render it in Yahoo like that. So there's a guy who says, well, here's my Facebook account, and here's a bunch of URLs, here's how you can poke me, here's how you can do all this other stuff with me, here's my picture, right? So if you're sitting there staring at these 10, that one is a lot more visually appealing. And so from that, you end up saying things like this, one of the lead Drupal people said, basically structured data, right, is the new search engine optimization.
Yep.
And that's cool because that's an awful lot of money. Okay. So let's think about second generation semantic web applications. So this is maybe only slightly newer type of problem. This is basically where we get real acronym soup. This is the business exploitation of semantic data. So there's a sort of whole ton of problems in here that Dave went through, I think, incredibly effectively. How do you manage data, integrate data? Maybe data should be sort of blended with functionality, so that these things go service-oriented architectures, and we blend all that together because that's kind of data-driven and kind of not data-driven. And how do you actually get unified query and analytics, right, from your, hopefully, ERP system in this way? So this is a massive market, right? Everybody goes to this market immediately. This is pre-recession number, right? Gartner said, well, that's just the EII part of that market, the enterprise information integration part. It's about 14 billion a year, but the growth rate was astonishing. It was like 40%. Don't know what that is right now, but